I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick, natural resource specialist at the Oxford Club. His website, InvestmentU.com. Also check out his best-selling book, The Ultimate Suburban Survivalist Guide, The Smartest Money Moves to Prepare for Any Crisis. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Thanks for having me on.
Notice that the Canadian dollar, the British pound, the euro are all up. Does that mean the U.S. dollar has fallen?
Yes, it has. In fact, it's now testing support from October. We'll see if that holds. Really, this is a reflection on the fact that the Fed did a about-face on raising interest rates. They lowered the number of expected hikes this year from 4 to 2, and now the whisper number is 0. And so I think that's being priced in. And despite the fact that you'll get exactly 0 on like a European bond, people are looking for potentially a rate cut here in the U.S. maybe late this year, early next year. That's because GDP forecasts have just gone way, way down. I was looking at the Atlanta Fed numbers. They're expecting GDP growth of 0.1% in the first quarter. Second quarter, there should be a pop from the first quarter because there was last year, but that's not guaranteed. And so if it is the start of a real slowdown, then we'll have to look for the Fed to take some action. But I wouldn't start panicking yet, because really, if you were going to panic, the best time to panic would have been last week or the week before. As the old saying goes, if you're going to panic, panic early. So if you haven't panicked yet, don't panic.
Gold, of course, is probably behind all of these money moves.
Well, gold is certainly being affected by these money moves. We saw a nice move in gold this week. In fact, since April 1st, I've been putting a chart up which shows the bullish flag chart pattern that's been taking place in gold. And of course, it all depends on whether you believe in technical analysis. Some people think it's hooey. I think that it does have its place. It isn't guaranteed. It's more of an art than a science, and as the saying goes, every sunken ship has a chart. But we saw gold move down in a very pretty bullish flag, and now it has moved above the range that was in that flag, and so that's quite a bullish thing. That gives me a target price on gold of between $1,450 and $1,500 an ounce. Could take a little while to get there, but it only took us 2 months to get here in the first place. So we'll have to see. That move could actually come quite quickly.
Goldman Sachs again throws in their lowball bid for gold, something like $750. They didn't hit that last year. Why would that happen this year?
Well, they do seem to do it. I believe their current target is $1,000 an ounce. It might be $900. And they have a lot of reasons why they say they think it's going to happen. I think that they just decided to short gold because if gold was ranging, which it had been before, then that made sense. You just go short at the top of the range. The problem is gold has been compressing for 4.5 years, and so now we're starting to see the breakouts come, and that could be. If you coil something up for 4.5 years, just the move can be really explosive. And so I think that's what we could see in gold.
For the last 5 years, China's been acquiring all the physical gold they can lay their hands on. And now you've mentioned they're taking a look at some of the junior gold miners.
Yes, I just got off the phone with Rick Rule at Sprott about this, as a matter of fact. Because the Sprott Fund is working closely with Zijin Mining, which is like the big Chinese gold miner over there, and man, are they looking. They've already made deals with some gold miners, but now it's not just that company. It's like all the Chinese gold miners are actively looking to make acquisitions overseas. What they really want to do is they want to secure future supply, not only for gold, silver, platinum, palladium, but also things like copper. And like you might be thinking, and I was when I initially had this conversation with them, there is such a surplus of copper on the market right now. Why are they worried? Well, they're thinking about the future. It's the Chinese long-range planning thing. And they think now they can get assets really cheap, and so now's the time when they really want to move. He said they're looking at asset purchases of all scales, from explorers all the way up to larger producing companies. They just want to lock in production, and so this could be good for miners of all types. And they'll certainly look in Canada. They like buying assets in Canada. It's a well-run mining industry there. It'll be great. But they also don't mind working in places where other people shy away from. That includes Latin America, Africa, Mid-Asia, that kind of thing. Places where a lot of other people are uncomfortable. So this could be a boost for select miners. I think that's the kind of thing where you might want to make a list of companies you think that the Chinese might want to buy. And what I think they would look for is blue sky potential, high grade, and undervalued for one reason or another, but something the Chinese can fix. Rick was speaking about the Chinese who are shopping now versus the Chinese who were shopping early in the last decade. Back then, they didn't have the experience. They didn't have the actual technical expertise to bring to the table. This time they do, and so that makes them better shoppers. But also they don't mind things that other purchasers might actually not do, which is they will take a minority position, not insist on having a majority position. They don't mind not running the company, though they'll give you plenty of expertise in order to actually get the job done. And they'll also take a minority position, equity position in another company that actually is like working on a project, and like do it that way as well. So there's a lot of different things that the Chinese will do. We know they have bags of money. One thing that we do know is speaking of currencies, because we just were, the Chinese currency is probably going to depreciate again, and that gives this a certain urgency, because the Chinese want to use that currency, convert it into dollars, before the value of their currency goes down, right? Because if the value of their currency goes down, for them, they're actually going to have to pay up, even if they're paying in U.S. dollars. So that means that there's urgency to this. The Chinese have plenty of money, and it could be a great time for select miners once the Chinese come knocking on their door.
Are the Chinese going on the same kind of buying spree the Japanese did back in the 80s when their economy was booming?
Well, that's a great point, something I also discussed with Rick. He said they're going through the same phase that the U.S. went through in the 50s and 60s, and the Japanese and Koreans did in the 60s and 70s. So yeah, it's that thing where they're building out smelters, refineries at home. They have to feed those and like that kind of thing. So yeah, there could be a lot of big ticket acquisitions going on.
Taking a look about oil and its future, even India says it wants to go to all electric cars in 2050. That's still a long, long way out. But they're still talking about dropping oil as the primary mover for their vehicles.
Well, yeah, there's some interesting things on with India, and has a lot of people scratching their heads. They're also talking about building all these coal-fired power plants, which would pretty much choke the world if, like, India and China built all the coal-fired power plants that they're speaking about. Malaysia as well. Those, is it Malaysia or Indonesia? Sometimes I get confused. Anyway, 3 of the Asian countries, if they built all the coal plants they were talking about, it would be horrific. Just pollution-wise, climate-wise, you name it. Now, the Chinese are backing off, probably because they're choking to death on their own outside air. And hopefully the people in India will make the same choice, especially with the cost of solar and stuff just falling to the floor. Solar isn't so much an energy source as it is a technology. And as the technology advances by leaps and bounds, it just gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And in the meantime, we have this giant fusion reactor in the sky that just provides the solar power really cheap. So it'll be interesting to see what India does. I think we're really at the cusp of a like energy revolution in like India, because there's so much they can do to improve their lives, improve their economy, and really move things along. Now, they have been looking for investment from the West for this. They actually, at that big climate summit, they asked specifically for money to compensate India for doing things the right way rather than building coal plants and like stuff like that, and they didn't get it at the time. I don't think that money is necessarily off the table. I think maybe the Western governments were just trying to make sure that the money isn't spent on secret bank accounts and yachts and like mistresses. And so maybe we'll see something along those lines as well.
Have the Panama Papers had any real impact on business?
Not yet, but it will. For one thing, I think it's a great shot in the arm for the cybersecurity business, right? Because if the law firm that was caught red-handed doing all this stuff had like better cyber protection on its stuff, none of this would have come out. So all the rich crooks in the world, and there are many of them, will now be ramping up their like cybersecurity to make sure they aren't the next ones who are hacked. So I think that's a tremendous boost for the cybersecurity business. That's one reason why we have seen, I believe, cyber stocks start to move out, is because everybody's upgrading. Because if that law firm can get hacked, and you can bet they were trying to keep things secret, it emphasizes to people and also big companies just how vulnerable they are. And in fact, I keep saying this to people, 2016, 2017, this is the year you're going to get hacked. It's just everybody's going to be. You have to be prepared for it. There are things that I do, just because I'm assuming the worst case scenario is going to come where all my financial information will be scooped up by people in like Moscow or maybe Beijing or maybe a Cairo or you name it. I mean, people have literally nothing better to do than to pick my pocket electronically. That kind of thing is going to happen. By the way, that is yet another boost for gold, because gold is the money you can't hack, isn't it? So that's good. But just to get back to your point, the Panama Papers, it's really political fallout in Europe right now. We haven't seen U.S. or Canadian politicians named yet. And I emphasize the word yet because I think there might be another shoe to drop on that. Really, it's all about, what big money can do, how it can actually purchase laws, how it's really amazing what is legal. If like someone gets caught doing something illegal, it's just because they get a little too greedy. If they were just regular greedy, so much is legal that it's amazing what they would be allowed to get away with. But I'm sure plenty of people will have to pay fines and stuff, and I just think that the biggest winner in all this will be cybersecurity, because people are going to be extra sure that their financial information is safe and secure.
Well, we've seen several U.S. hospitals have their information held hostage.
Oh, not just hospitals, banks, you name it. There are some incredible amounts being thrown around as to how much people actually paid in ransom last year. Like, 250 million, 400 million. No one really knows, and that's in ransom. That's not like the other things. That's just what they were willing to pay in order to actually get their information back. These big corporations and stuff like that, they can't exist without that information. Of course they'll pay. But so for the awful cyber crooks out there, whether they're Russian or maybe working for ISIL or China or just some dudes sitting around a pool in Los Angeles, you can understand the motivation for them to do this. They almost never get caught, and the upside rewards are just amazing. So if you have no ethics and you have computer talent, I can see why you would actually be attracted to this line of work.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after the break.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Unbelievable harmony, spectacular performance, the ultimate tribute to the Everly Brothers and Simon & Garfunkel. Bird Dog and the Vintage Electric Band coming to Mission, White Rock, West Vancouver. Buy online and save at ontourtickets.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. With Britain holding a referendum on whether they should stay in the European Union or not, is political stability something that people should always look at when they're making investments?
Yes, and I think that's something that's really going to haunt Europe this year. It's not just Britain, by the way. They just had a big referendum in the Netherlands, which was about a trade agreement with the Ukraine, and they said, no, we don't want better trade relations with the Ukraine. We don't want to lower the barriers with them. And so we are starting to see this stuff. We'll see yet more reaction to the big immigration wave from the Middle East. The elites over in Europe don't feel the pain and the fear of all those people coming over, but the working people certainly do. The people who lose their jobs to immigrants, those who are just worried, those people who have to ride the subway every day and they're just worried that it's actually going to blow up because some Islamic fundamentalist sneaks a bomb on it, right? Those people will be going to the polls, and I think we'll have major upheavals in Europe. And then we have Greece. That situation in Greece was never resolved, by the way. They keep papering it over, but it could come unraveled either later this year or early next year. Greece is a shambles. What they've done there is awful, and it's compounded by all the thousands and thousands of all these immigrants who have shown up on their shores. That country doesn't have any money anyway, and now it has to pay for them. It's supposed to get help from Europe, and the Europeans are being really stingy about helping out. If you wanted to build a perfect crisis, I don't think you could do a better job than what's going on in Europe right now. So I think European stability will be one of the things we have on the table this year, and that could really affect profits over there, profits for U.S. companies that actually do work over there, and also things like where you want to invest your money. Do you want to invest your money in a country which seems to be losing control of who comes in, who comes out? Really fascinating statistic is that 10,000 French millionaires decided to go live somewhere else last year. There could have been any number of reasons why they chose to do that. I think one reason that they might be going somewhere else is because they can see the political troubles that are coming for France, and they don't want to live through it. That's one thing to keep in mind. I think that might make investing in the Western Hemisphere seem much more attractive.
Of course, the Donald is a big factor, and someone said, well, if he gets elected or Hillary gets elected, either one will affect the price of gold.
I don't know. It's really hard to say. There are things that affect the price of gold every week, right? I mean, things go up or down. Things are priced in rather quickly. Certainly, the Donald, as we'll call him, makes people in Europe nervous. He makes many Americans nervous. The guy is a hothead, and he just, so he might fly off the handle and he might do something. So, offend somebody or something like that. But you know what? People get over offense. People get over being insulted. It's just more of a worry of what is a hothead he might actually do. But not to dump on him all. I mean, Hillary Clinton, she loves dropping bombs on people, right? I mean, she really does. Going by not what she says, but her track record. She likes bombing the crap out of people. Sorry, I probably shouldn't say that word on...
Oh, it's on the internet. You can see anything you want.
Oh, okay, good. Well, anyway, so she likes to blow things up, and so I think either candidate might make people nervous, but there are many other fundamental things going on in the world of gold that I think have more effect than who the president of the U.S. is. One thing to comfort people, if they are worried about who the U.S. president is we elect a president, not a king. So someone can get in that office and not be able to do a heck of a lot, especially with the do-nothing Congress we have. Those guys are taking working tips from cement and really sticking in place and bragging about how little work they get done. If they worked for you, you would have fired them long ago. Why they're still there, I don't know. And so I am less concerned about it simply because, I have some inkling of how Washington works, and one person isn't going to make that big of a difference.
I guess it's just like a football team. You can have the greatest quarterback, but unless there's blocking and receivers, he's not going to do much.
Right. But on the other hand, a good quarterback really helps.
Oh, yes. Ask the Denver Broncos about that.
Yeah.
Sean, thank you very much for chatting with us.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
My guest has been Sean Brodrick, Natural Resource Specialist at the Oxford Club. His website, investmentu.com. You're listening to HowStreet.com Radio. Find us on Twitter at Talk Digital Net. Our popular YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Comments or questions for the show can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com Radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com Radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.